Hey friends, Abby Johnson here, and it is Mother's Day, and I wanted to say Happy Mother's Day to all of you mamas out there and grandmas and whoever else is listening. Thank you to the dads out there who are killing it and supporting the moms in your life. But Happy Mother's Day. And I got a great gift today. I got to go to church for the first time. And gosh, I don't even know how many weeks. And I was so excited. And here in Texas, the governor has said that churches can have up to 250 people go. And so I was like, okay, I was super pumped, So we got up, we got ready, and I was thinking, we need to get there early because we go to a large church, and I was like, okay, there's going to be a lot of people, and even with the social distancing that they did, skipping a pew and all this, they're going to have to be turning people away. And so I'd kind of prepared the kids, we may have to sit outside and, all these things, were going through my head. And so I was sort of imagining, oh my gosh, it's going to be a madhouse when we get there. So we got there a little early, which 10 minutes for us, but trust me, that's early, in Johnson House. So anyway, there's a lot of us. Don't judge. So, we get there early. I'm super proud of us. And we pull in the parking lot. And, I'm not even kidding. There were, maybe 10 cars. And I thought, oh, my gosh. Is this... Wait. I was like, it was today, right? We were having mass today. And then I saw one of my friends pull in, Katrina. And we had talked about going to mass today. And I was like, no, wait, it's today, So we park and I get out of the car. Now we all had to have masks on, because we're just big blobs of germs now. That's how, everybody sees each other. And, which is fun, with all these kids, having to force them to wear masks, because that's the requirement in our church, that anybody over the age of 2 because toddlers, they're definitely gonna keep masks on. So anyway, but I thought, well, at least we'll go in wearing masks. I mean, they're definitely not gonna keep them on, but at least we'll go in looking compliant. So anyway, so we're walking up, and we go into the church, and there was nobody there. And I'm sitting there, and I'm just this is weird. This is weird. And I couldn't believe it. I was completely flabbergasted. And honestly, it made me really emotional. I pretty much cried throughout the entire service. And it was all these emotions. If I'm honest with you, I felt all these emotions. I felt so grateful, to be back in church, and gosh, so thankful we're Catholic, so thankful to be back, receiving the Eucharist. And man, I mean, I kept thinking, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna take this for granted again. Some Sundays I'm I want to go to mass, but I'll never do that again. I'll never take that for granted now that I have gone so long without it, And so grateful for all of that. And then so sad because our church was empty. There were 66 people there. I was 66 people. I mean, we have a huge church body. We have, over 1,000 people usually in Mass, and we had like 66 people, and I just couldn't believe it. And I was just like, what in the world is going on? And I was so sad, and that really made me cry. And I was just thinking, I have so many different theories, on why this is. And I gotta tell you, I think part of it is because I grew up Southern Baptist, and I was taught from an early age that there are three things that we need as believers, aside from, of course, our relationship with the Lord, but, three things that I was taught that we must have as believers, that we must do as believers, and, to keep our relationship strong in the Lord. And that was that we had to pray, that we had to be in the Word every day, we had to read our Bible every day, and that we had to fellowship with believers. And so, come hell or high water, I grew up in church every Sunday, because that fellowship with believers was so important in my home. And I grew up knowing that fellowship was so important. And so, when I became Catholic, that was not a hard jump for me to make. Catholics believe that you must be in church every Sunday, or that is a grave sin, right? Because if you're not, then you are putting some other idol above Christ. And the Bible is very clear. It's a commandment. You are to put no idols in front of Christ. And so that was very easy for me to understand. We got to be in church every Sunday, right? And so that was very easy for me, because I've believed that my whole life. I've grown up believing that my whole life. And I got to tell you, I listened to, during this coronavirus time, I've listened to, pastors and priests talk to their congregation. It's almost like they're begging them not to come back. It's, they're like, look, please don't come if you don't feel comfortable. Please just stay home, if you don't want to come. And I'm like, why is that the message that we're giving people? I understand it, if you're immunocompromised. I understand, if you're sick. I understand, if you're hawking up disgusting phlegm. I understand, if you got snot pouring from your nose. I understand if you just had a freaking heart attack. If you have diabetes. I understand that sort of thing. If you have chronic asthma. I get that, right? I get it. One of my friends in the pro-life movement, two of her kids have cystic fibrosis. Please stay home, right? I get that. But for most of us, there's no reason. For the overwhelming majority of Americans who are Christian, there's no reason for us to stay away from church. But I feel like the majority of Christians are using this as an excuse not to worship, because we're allowing fear to take over our lives. And people will say, no, Abby, it's prudence. It's not prudence anymore. It's fear. It's fear. Guys, we're going to have to live with this for the rest of our lives. The coronavirus is not going away. Okay? It's going to be like the flu. I'm not comparing it to the flu. Okay? Don't kill me. Don't crucify me on this video. That's not what I'm doing. But I'm saying the flu never goes away. The flu is here every single year. And we don't close down the churches. We don't walk in church with a friggin' mask on. We don't social distance in Mass. We don't sit there and not touch each other. Or we don't do that every single year. We carry on about our lives. And if you're sick, if you're running fever, if you have a bad immune system, you don't come to Mass, right? And you get dispensation. And it's fine. And everybody goes on with their lives. This virus is not going anywhere. It's going to stay. It's going to be here. How long are we going to live our lives like this? It is weird. And how long are our clergy going to sit here and basically beg us not to come to church? I mean, the message should be, Guys, if you are in a category that makes you immunocompromised, please feel free not to come to church. But for everyone else, please come to church. That should be the message. Not our pastors and priests begging us not to come. That's why people aren't coming. Because you're essentially asking us not to come. And people have gotten so complacent sitting at home and doing that. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't watch virtual church. I just don't. My family, I am not gonna make 8 kids sit down and watch church on TV. I just don't do it. I'm not doing it. I didn't sign up to be Catholic to watch a televangelist. I don't. I'm not doing it. I'm not gonna make my kids do it. I became Catholic for the Eucharist. That's why I became Catholic, and I can't get that through my TV. So, I'm not doing it. And I'm not going to sit there and watch it. I'm not going to make my kids watch it. And there are ways to do this creatively. There have been ways to do this creatively. Many parishes, several bishops have been doing this creatively. And I bet their numbers aren't what I saw this morning. And it makes me sad. It made me really sad this morning. And this isn't a bash on my priest. I love my priest. This isn't a bash on my bishop. This is just reality. People should have been busting out the doors this morning, and because they weren't, that tells me that we failed them. We did something wrong. We've been disconnected for far too long. And that makes me heartbroken. How long are we going to do this? We now have more people joining unemployment than we do testing positive for corona. Like, when does it end? Like, when do we say enough? When do we say this is just a part of our lives now? Let our bodies do what they're meant to do. Let our bodies build up immunity. Everybody start taking vitamins. I don't like this world where I saw my friends this morning at church and nobody wanted to hug each other. Or they did. They wanted to, but they didn't. I don't live in that kind of fear. I'm not going to live in that kind of fear. It's not about prudence anymore. Maybe in the beginning it was. I mean, I didn't agree with any of this shutdown stuff in the first place, but you know, I could agree that some of this in the beginning was about prudence, but there's no wisdom in any of this anymore. It's just about fear. And God did not put that spirit of fear in us. He gave us a spirit of strength. We should be coming together every week and fighting against this fear together. And we should be led by pastors and priests who are encouraging us to come together, not begging us to stay away. I don't know, guys. Get to church. Get back to church. Use wisdom. Get back to church.